Beth, you've been there too. You've taken several trips. For what purpose?
Well, the very first trip I took was, it was probably a year after I started finding out what was happening to the Palestinians and the oppression and the occupation. And I was, up until probably about 13 years ago, your typical American. I didn't really understand what was going on there. I didn't even know where Palestine was. It wasn't on the map. And when I really started understanding about the terrible conditions that were being imposed on the Palestinians, I had to do something. And when I heard about the international solidarity movement, I absolutely knew I had to go. And so I did go in 2002, and what I saw there, it changed my life. I mean, the way that the Palestinians are treated, the way that they're just pushed aside as though they're trash on the ground. And you know, I just knew that somehow I had to do what I could to stop what was happening.
Something was wrong.
Yeah,
Something
absolutely.
Was wrong.
Yeah, and I today, you know, more than anything, I just wish the American people would be able to see what is happening. You know, it's like a lot of Americans are not even allowed to even see on our media what is happening. These people that so desperately need us to sympathize with them because of what they're going through. And we're not, a lot of us, we don't even see that.
One of the trips you took was, at least one, was with the International Solidarity Movement, wasn't it? And
yeah.
It seems to me that I recall in the last couple of days that Israel has tried to identify the ISM as a terrorist organization. Do you want to say something about that?
Well, you know, they try to name every single organization, any kind of charity, anything at all that tries to help the Palestinians as a terrorist organization. It's what Israel does to try to beat down anybody that tries to help Palestine, that tries to sympathize with Palestine. The ISM, the International Solidarity Movement, is a group of fantastic people that have such a big heart in trying to help a people that so desperately need our help. You know, that I mean, I'm privileged to be an American in the way that I can come into an area like Gaza or the West Bank, and I'm relatively safe compared to the Palestinians because of who I am. I have the privilege of going in there and having somewhat of a voice, just a very tiny voice, but more than the Palestinians. And so the ISM is from all over the world, people from all over the world that are going in to help the Palestinians.
From both of you, I get the sense that it's your perception that Israel really isn't interested in a peace process, and that all this rhetoric about peace process. Yeah. Okay. Thanks very much, Gary and Beth. I appreciate your insights in helping us to understand this issue. And when we come back, we're going to have two other people who have actual ethnic or religious connections with this area, one who is Jewish and one who is Islam. And I hope that you'll stay with us and hear what they have to say. Thank you.
Thanks, Bob. It's our pleasure.
Thank you very much for having me.
Okay, here we are, we're back again talking about a really important, significant issue of, about nonviolence and peace in the Middle East and what's been going on there most recently. I have two people here with me, good friends, Aaron Ney, an American Jew, and on my left I have Rana Wadan, who is a Palestinian American Muslim. And I just going to ask them the question that Joe Biden asked today. What's the big deal here? Rana, you want to start?
Well, it's a huge deal. I think primarily because there's been so many incidents where we just keep turning our back and they keep using the same tactics to avoid the central issue, which is oh, you know, the reason we went in there was for self-defense. The reason we went in there and we did this was for self-defense. Back in January when they bombed a U.S. Or a UN school, I'm sorry, they said self-defense, and you know how many people need to die because of this. It shouldn't continue. Things need to be done, and as of right now, the U.S. has their hands dirty with this issue as well. We need to take a stand as Americans to try and bring an end to this.
And what do you think we need to do?
Well, for starters, sending money over there wouldn't be a really great idea. I think the billions of dollars that are sent over there should be used here. We have so many things that we need to do for this country that we shouldn't be sending money over there.
You're sending money to the state of Israel.
Exactly, to the state of Israel to help fund these actions, and it's obvious that you can't bring this incident to anyone. Tell them the facts. Tell them that these people were sending aid, tons of aid, to help Gaza and to try and lift the siege. And you can't, you know, tell anyone that this happening and having Israel go onto these ships and kill these innocent people is right. So that's my take on it.
What's your take, Aaron?
Well, I think from a certain perspective, what's the big deal is a good question when you consider that deaths in Gaza are a daily occurrence, and having 9 die, I could see what's the big deal. You know, just a little over a year ago, we had 1,400 die. So what is the big deal?
You're speaking about the Christmas incursion in 2008.
Absolutely. For 3 weeks, Gaza was under siege of 5-ton missiles being dropped upon a civilian population. But I guess what the big deal is that the rest of the world has taken notice with 8 Turks and 1 American killed. I think it's hard, and we're really seeing the spin machine at work. It's a hard thing for Israel to justify in front of the world, and I think that is the big deal.
Say more about the spin machine and how it works from your perception.
Well, from my perception, terribly, but I think from the Israeli perception, it works well. I think that they've shown a mastery of our own language. They know who their audience is, and they're very skilled at mobilizing and messaging and spinning quickly. And it was clearly an orchestrated operation. The names of the dead weren't given out. There was a seizure of both person and property from the boats. They took full control and have within a certain population taken over the messaging. I think people see through it, which is good. It's a little bit of protesting too much. I think people see that it is spin at work for a shameful act.
Well, how did you feel when you heard Netanyahu say, "Those who criticize us are hypocrites"?
I didn't understand it.
Because?
I just didn't even understand the framework.
It doesn't compute.
It didn't register for me in any level.
Yeah.
Yeah.